Alright, what's up guys? It's Coop with C&T Designs again. Um, Kind of struggling with the way to cover some of these bills that I'm going to cover today. Yeah, it's cold in my house, so I'm wearing another jacket. But what these bills all come down to is actually expanding the definition of what a prohibited possessor would be, and basically making it illegal for more and more people to own firearms. That's why you see the firearm symbol up there, your regular gun-free zone sign. But that's another plasma cut I did. Um, and this one, let me show you the finish on this one. I cut a lot of stuff out of um, basically reclaimed metal and repurposed it. So this one's got a real nice kind of rust patina on it. And the plasma cut leaves a really good outline and the nice gray dross that you get from a plasma cut. I still got to do a little cleaning up on it and kind of smooth some stuff out. But anyway, so that's my, and I'll have another one too. So that's my you can't have firearms deal. So let me screen share this and let's kind of get into what I'm talking about. Let me get rid of that. All right. So let's go. We'll do a standard screen share. All right. And like I said, this is going to be a package of bills. And I'll open up the other folder here in a second, I think. Anyway, so this bill is HR 1441. This was introduced in February 2021 on the 26th. Now, this says this is to authorize the Attorney General to make grants to states and units of local government to implement statutes, rules, policies, or procedures to authorize courts to issue relinquishment orders with respect to individuals covered, or actually this is one of the key parts, individuals charged with or convicted of a crime of domestic violence or subject to domestic violence prevention orders. Now, what I want you to understand, let's see, let's go over here. This is the text of 922. This is on lawful acts. So, let's see, where's that? Okay, so this is unlawful acts, and it would be unlawful for any person, and this is already here. Restrains such person was issued after a hearing or received actual notice to which this person had opportunity to participate. A restraining order basically restrains a person from harassing, stalking, threatening an intimate partner or the child of an intimate partner. So this is already in law. The only thing that this bill did, as far as actually editing the law, was they added in a misdemeanor crime of stalking. But when you get into this bill, what we're talking about here is, get down in here. Okay, so this is the types of offenses, the court orders for relinquishment. This covers the discretion of the court to decide who is going to be covered with a relinquishment order. So with what they're talking about here with these relinquishment orders is in the text of the law now, a person would have to be at a hearing. Let me bring it down. Would have to be present for the hearing, and would have to actually be informed of the order of the court that they would actually be a prohibited possessor. Now, in this bill in 1441, they wouldn't have to be present. In the case of a domestic situation, you and your spouse are going through a rough time, you and your girlfriend are breaking up, whatever, almost anybody could be covered under an order restraining them from being around that other person. Um, if you're convicted of any kind of domestic violence, you are automatically a or prohibited possessor already. That's already in law. Um, like I said, I'm struggling with the way to cover this because it all adds up to they're trying to expand the definition of some of these things so that they can actually add more people to um, the the category of prohibited possessor. Let's see, and this was going through what was this in general? All right, this was under reports and recommendations. So under the reports and recommendations, what they're talking about here is that after a period, I think this is 3 years after the enactment of this, the Attorney General, acting through the Director of the National Institute of Justice, will have to prepare reports on these laws and go through and explain how these laws were being implemented and how effective these laws were. And it all comes down to making more recommendations to further restrict someone's ability to own and possess firearms. Um, let's bounce down through this a little bit more because there were a couple parts of this I really wanted to touch on. All right, so this actually goes into um, when you when a person had to surrender their firearms or their firearms were to be relinquished. I'm going to say that word right one day. Um, this also covered whether an entity, whether it was a law enforcement or a licensed dealer, um, who you could relinquish those arms to. Uh, and this actually gets into you being charged for storing those if you had to relinquish those. And again, you guys will have to forgive me. My kids are in the background. I don't know whether you can hear them or not, but they're running around like lunatics and having fun. So, uh, let's see. All right. This got into the considerations for returning, disposing of, or selling relinquished firearms, which you ought to know already. If you go through this and they actually take your firearms, they're not giving them back. Or at the very least, you are going to have to fight for a very long time to get those back. And the way these bills are put together, they're basically made for abuse. Anybody who's ever been in a bad relationship or had a crazy ex knows that they will say plenty of things, accuse you of plenty of things, and they could actually, it's not very hard to get a protective order against somebody. And all they would have to do is go swear it out, get a protective order, and then all of a sudden you have police showing up on your door and you have to relinquish your firearms, much like the red flag laws that are out right now. And if you've looked at any of the stories on those, they are absolutely being abused. All right, all it takes is someone accusing you of something, which anybody can accuse you of anything, and then all of a sudden you're a prohibited possessor or you have to turn in your firearms. Now, this doesn't stop someone, say if this truly is an abusive person abusing their spouse, this does nothing to stop them from using any other number of things to harm that person. We all know that piece of paper isn't stopping anything. If you've got, and we'll use it for instance here, if you've got an absolute piece of shit guy that is beating his wife, do you honestly think if he wants to escalate that further that even if you took his guns, that would stop him from escalating it? This. Now let's see. There were a couple other things I wanted to hit in this bill, and then I'm gonna open up something and show a couple of these other bills. This got into future studies. So they would be doing a report basically in about 10 years on this, and it would go through all the other steps that they put into place. Um, Now, and again, you ought to know already that anytime that the anti-gun left puts in a bill or a law, they get something passed, it's just an incremental step towards something else. We're looking at that with the ATF right now. The video I did earlier, and I'm still ill as hell, and I'm going to probably stay that way until this crap stops. But it's just incremental. They're one step after the next, and it doesn't stop with these people. So the Attorney General shall prepare and submit to Congress recommendations for federal legislation in accordance with Section 3. That was where they were going through the reports on this. Now, to the extent authorized by law, the Attorney General shall make rules, policies, and practices in accordance with the best practices described in Section 3. In other words, they're giving the Attorney General the power to do just like the ATF is doing right now and just make the law up as they go. So it doesn't have to be in the text of the law. They can interpret it how they want. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Now, this is where they go through definitions. And most of this is already in law. The definitions are already there, whether it's intimate partner, dating partner, the covered offenses. Now, then when they talk about, when they're covering in this bill, they're also talking about current or former spouse, intimate partner, dating partner, parent, or guardian. Um, so again, if you are in a bad relationship or getting out of a bad relationship, there's a nasty break, and you have a person accusing you of all sorts of things, you would be subject to these orders where a court could say you have to relinquish all of your firearms. And there's, so far reading this bill, there doesn't have to be a whole lot of evidence. You can charge someone with anything. The whole saying, you can indict a hamburger, and you can. And their expansions of what you have to understand is if you are an abusive person, you are committing violence on somebody. If you are charged with that, you are already going to be a prohibited possessor. That's already in law. And the only reason they're beating this drum is to actually expand those things. And to actually expand these definitions. Let me get rid of those. So let's open this up real fast, because we were looking at, oh hell, I think I already had it open. So yeah, this was 1441. Now, the Violence Against Women Act, understand, this is law. This was just reaffirmed. And it's just tons after tons after tons of going through prohibited possessors. This one was actually going to edit some more stuff. And this is adding in just a ton more stuff. Economic abuse. The term economic abuse in the context of domestic violence, dating partner, and abuse in later life means behavior that is coercive, deceptive, or unreasonably controls or restrains a person's ability to acquire, use, or maintain economic resources to which they are entitled, including using coercion, fraud, or manipulation to restrict a person's access to money, assets, credit, financial information. Let's see, because I haven't read all the way through this. It just, this got into grant funds again. This was into more the expanding the definition of a prohibited person and restrictions. So zero tolerance for domestic abusers. This is another one. This is 1494. And I think I had a couple things written up about this one. So the term, again, they go into defining an intimate partner. That's already in law. That's already text as it is now. They're basically kind of expanding that. An individual who cohabitates or has cohabitated with the person, and includes a dating partner, former dating partner. Again, it's already against the law to abuse someone, physically be abusive of that person. You can be charged. Those are crimes. Why are we trying to expand that further and further and further to where these can be abused more and more and more? And that's what these people are trying to do. A misdemeanor crime of stalking. Let's see, a course of a harassment, intimidation, or surveillance of another person that places a person in reasonable fear of material harm to the health or safety of that person. So again, this could get into what someone perceives as harassment online. So you follow someone that you disagree with. One of your exes is saying some stupid shit about you. So you're following them online and you guys are having a back and forth about this stuff. Well, you could get charged with stalking for that, misdemeanor crime of stalking, and you're now a prohibited possessor. And I know tons of people that have had issues with exes where they're going back and forth online about stuff. Well, if anything like this passes, then they automatically become a prohibited possessor. And when they talk about material harm to the health, that could be mental health. Oh, they make me depressed, or they gave me anxiety, any number of different things like that. Let's see, which other one was it? Oh, the Lori Jackson domestic abusers. This was on February 16th. So these were introduced very closely together. So this is another one. Definitions of intimate partner. Misdemeanor crime of domestic violence expanded. So again, covered domestic violence court order. Now this is in case of an ex parte order, so you don't even have to be there. Relative to which notice and opportunity to be heard are provided. I'm sorry, someone's calling me. I'll check that out in a sec. So this is all about the restraining orders again. I mean, I know people that have had restraining orders put against them when they were no threat to that person, the other person. Their ex-spouse, girlfriend, or whatever was just flat out lying about stuff. And that person was lying about it to the point where almost everybody that knew both of them knew exactly what was happening. They knew that person was lying. But they go through court after court after court, and it's years before this stuff gets straightened out. I mean, to the point where, and it's a lot harder on the male in these situations than it is the woman in a lot of cases. I mean, I've seen cases where the courts actually gave custody to the mother of the children when she was an absolute worthless POS. I mean, addicted to drugs, wasn't taking care of the kids, running around all hours of the night with a different guy every night of the week. The guy, the husband or boyfriend in a couple of cases, was a stable, working individual, had a good job, took very good care of their kids, but the courts were always going to side with the mother in that situation. It is very hard for a guy to get custody of his kids. It is extremely easy for a woman in most cases to put restraining orders against a guy in a domestic violence situation where the police are called. The wife or girlfriend, and I've seen it in a couple of cases, actually started the physical altercation. And the guy was protecting himself and pushed her. A couple cases actually hit her. But she was hitting him, and in one or two cases had a weapon trying to assault the guy. But when the cops get called, he's the one in cuffs and going to jail and getting charged. Because biologically, men are bigger, stronger than women in most cases. But these laws never account for the misuse that comes into these situations a lot of the time. And let's see, there was another one. Okay, to protect victims of stalking. This is a Senate bill. This one was earlier in February. This was February 2nd. And again, Domestic Violence and Stalking Act of 2021. So this is going in and getting even further into it. Oh, look, intimate partner again. If these things are already illegal, already in the text of law, why the expansion? Why? And there are quite a few other bills out besides 1441, 1620, 1494, 1923, S527. Why is this just rain of bills coming out now? It's to expand the category of prohibited purchaser, prohibited possessor, and make it harder for people to own firearms. That's all this is about. So, y'all be cool. I'm going to cover another video after this. If you guys are interested, go ahead and look at the text on some of these bills. And I'll holler at you later. Y'all be cool.